Hey guys, it's Rainey Romero. Thank you so much for joining us for another Carolina Justice Report. Today we're talking all about what's going on with the Camp Lejeune lawsuits. Welcome back. I am joined with attorneys Justin Lovely and Amy Lawrence. How you guys doing?
Doing great. How you doing, Rainey?
I'm good. I'm very curious to hear all about this because I think everybody can agree at this point that we're being inundated with all of these Camp Lejeune info, everything, everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So tell folks a little bit about what's going on and why they're seeing so much of this Camp Lejeune stuff.
Well, so Camp Lejeune and these toxic water claims are going to be the biggest mass tort, mass action ever. Okay. And the reason we say that is we think there's studies are showing there were 1 million veterans and workers who lived in that area during this time frame. And when we talk about time frame, we're looking back with these cases from 1953 to 1987.
Oh, wow. So a while ago.
So millions of veterans and people who just work there. So obviously, if you were exposed to the water, we're talking about your grandparents. We're talking about some veterans that are currently living with these debilitating diseases, and then obviously some cases where they've already passed away, and so we're dealing with their children and their grandchildren who think they may have claims for their grandparents.
So when we're talking about that time period, what you're saying is the water was contaminated during that time period, and so there's all these issues coming up from that being ingested and being all over them, right?
Right. So this whole case turns on contaminated toxic water. Okay. And what we mean by that is chemicals, volatile organic compounds were being dumped into the water system.
Yikes.
And so you had, veterans who were training, Marines that were training, naval officers who were training, they're taking showers in it, they're drinking it. Their children are out while they're serving. Their children are at home, swimming in swimming pools, taking showers. And then, depending on what your classification, what your rank was, you may have been actually working with these chemicals, on the base. And all of these seeped back into the groundwater. Okay.
Ugh,
and so from that time frame, it's just that they were exposed. And you had millions of Marines coming through there being trained. This was the middle of the Cold War. This is the middle of the Vietnam War. All special operations Marines were being stationed there. And so, and then you had their families and you had just military contractors.
Yeah, it's terrible. So what was the water contaminated with?
Well, again, you have all these harsh chemicals, right? These VOCs, right? So crazy. If you watch more of my shorts that I've shot,
right,
we go through each chemical that was exposed. But it kind of started with a dry cleaning business that is the chemicals are seeping off and it's getting into the groundwater. They kind of know about that. When I say they, the government knows about that. But it all seeps into the groundwater, and then the way the damn pump system is working with the way water was distributed with the water treatment plants, the whole base eventually over time gets exposed. So depending on where you lived, the New River Valley, Hadnot Point, Tarawa Terrace, anywhere on the Camp Lejeune property eventually became contaminated.
What a terrible story. I have so many questions that come to mind when I hear this, because you're saying from the 50s to the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's a long time. And you're saying the government knew that this was happening?
Well, they slowly figure it out, right? And they keep, and more information is coming about as we continue this litigation. Mm-hmm. So, and who knows what we're really going to find out about it. But,
right.
Yeah, they knew about it. The EPA does tests on the water. The real big eye-opening test was in 1982. Okay, and this is when so they've been living on base for 53 to 82, and that's when they're testing this water. And the EPA sets safe water limits for these different volatile organic compounds. And when they do the testing in 82, it comes back as 300 times what the average limit should be for safe drinking water.
Oh my gosh!
And so the whole time, it's crazy.
Oh, this is terrible. Okay, so now we know what's going on there and why we're seeing all this water contamination stuff. What happened, like injury-wise, or what are the effects of that bad water?
We're seeing everything from birth defects, stillbirths, to cancers.
It's terrible.
Yeah, and everything in between that you can imagine.
Yeah, cancers, Parkinson's disease, terrible diseases, tooth loss. Like Amy said, women were having miscarriages, right? And they're like, well, what is happening? They had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So, and it all comes back, it was the water. It's just terrible to even think about.
Yeah. So, we've obviously talked about mass torts and kind of how that works with the Carolina Justice Report here. So, this is part of a mass tort that's going on right now because it's affected so many people in the country that have been stationed there. And it's not just people on base, right? It's people who were living and working around that area too.
Yeah, so we're accepting any case where, as long as we can prove you were on base for at least 30 days, and it does not have to be consecutive. So if you had if you did 2 weeks, then you went home for 2 weeks, and came back and did another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
As long as you were there for 30 days, and we're going to be able to prove that, then that's a case we would accept.
Okay. So what's going on right now with the cases? We're kind of taking these, and it only goes for 2 years, or how does that all work?
Okay, so all this was passed under the Honoring Our Pact Act that Joe Biden just passed. I should call him President Biden, not Joe Biden. President Biden just signed into law a couple months back. And the one nuance to the act is there's a 2-year statute of limitations. So while I'm saying 1953 to 1987, we only have 2 years to get those in. So, and that's why you're seeing all this crazy advertising everywhere, radio, TV, internet, because we got to get the word out. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if you miss the ball here, it's over with. It's forever bar your claim. Mm-hmm. There's been attempts to try to bring this legislation, to bring these lawsuits forward, and they've all failed, right? And so the PACT Act and the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 is the final opportunity to bring a lawsuit against the government, to right these wrongs.
Wow.
They're going to be right. So right now we're already a few months in, so time's already of the essence, and it's getting down. We only have 2 years to get them in, so now year and 6 months now. You have to file your form. Your Form 50, which basically lets the Navy know that you're bringing a claim. Okay, it has to sit for 6 months, right? And then the government has to decide to either act or deny or do nothing. Which we're anticipating they're going to do nothing and just let those sit for 6 months. Then you have the right under the law to file your lawsuit. And so then they're going to be filed in the Eastern District of North Carolina. It's a specific jurisdiction for these claims. All claims for everybody all law firms that are handling these are going to be handled right up the road in Jacksonville. So that's where we'll be working these cases.
Crazy. Well, and I found it was interesting too, because some, because it was so long ago, a lot of these people have passed away, but their family can still bring these claims to you, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a really important part of it.
Right, and we'll investigate and help them do that. There might be some probate work that we'll eventually have to do, but to get the biggest thing is let's just get this first initial paperwork filed and get the case started for them.
Yeah. Well, and this is going on nationwide because, lots of different states have filtered through Camp Lejeune when they were doing service, which makes this even that much worse, that you're there doing service with your family and you have this happen to you. But I feel like it hits us a little bit differently because, we're really close to Camp Lejeune. That's like 3 hours up the road. I used to go there growing up. A lot of my friends dated Marines. They would come down for the weekends. And so, it kind of, I feel like, hits us in a personal way a little bit differently.
Right. And of course they disperse all throughout the United States, but you're absolutely right. A lot of Marines come to South Carolina. Mm-hmm. When they're done with their duty, they come down here, and we anticipate a lot of local clients.
Yeah, we have they retired here or they're living here now, but a lot of them they came down here just for their time off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They come down because they've got a weekend where they can get away. They come down, blow off some steam, have some fun, and then roll back.
Yep.
Because it's so close, and so we have such a huge tie to the Camp Lejeune people.
Yeah.
It breaks our heart, for sure.
I got my second tattoo up in Jacksonville. So there's that. And I was hanging out with a bunch of Marines up there. So yeah, so I just hate to hear this story in general.
I went to undergrad at East Carolina University, which is not far from there at all. We'd always see a bunch of Marines. They'd always roll into town to come party. Young guys, come hang out at the bars when they have some time off too. So
yeah. How was this kind of, brought up to even start filing this claim? We found out that the government had found out that the water was, being contaminated, so they cleaned it up. But when did this start becoming a legal thing?
Yeah, so, like you just said it, the government knew about it, right? And so there's been attempts to bring these lawsuits. And it's kind of always ran through the VA, try to get more VA benefits. And so slowly there's been some changes made where, hey, we're gonna give veterans some extra VA benefits. Okay, now we're going to open it up to veterans and their families. And then Obama passed an amendment that gave them even more benefits and gave some presumptive diseases that would qualify you for VA benefits. But the issue was when these veterans are filing these claims, they get stuck in the VA bureaucracy. They never get approved or they get denied. Okay, and so a lot of them will just give up, or they pass away.
Yeah.
Which is terrible, right?
Yeah.
And so then the fight becomes, hey, we got to attack this a different way. And so there were some lawyers that got together, got this bill passed. It was a bipartisan bill that finally got together. Republicans and Democrats voted for this to expand all the veteran benefits that were available. So it's not just the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. There was some veterans benefits for the burn pits that was coming along through all this. But the good news is it's there now. Okay, and this is their one opportunity to bring these claims. Even if that, now here's something else. Some people may have gone through that process and been denied. Okay, even if you've already done it before, you have a whole nother cause of action under the PACT Act. So we're looking at all those. Don't get discouraged. We'll still be able to bring a claim for you.
Yeah. A lot of people are comparing this to kind of the Agent Orange thing that happened. I don't really know much about that, but if you do.
Well, that was even, and part of the Honoring Our PACT Act gave even more benefits for veterans exposed to the burn pits and Agent Orange and all that. And then within that is the Camp Lejeune Justice Act.
Okay. So what should folks do if they feel like this is related or they're not sure what you want them to do?
If they have any question, we're taking cases. If you served or you or a loved one were there for at least 30 days from 1953 to 1987, we're taking all cases. Even if you're not injured, but you were there, we want to take those cases because those cases, the fear of getting cancer is sometimes even worse than cancer itself. And there might be in the future, there may be a medical monitoring system that will be set up to take place for you. So anybody who even suspects it, you only have less than 2 years now, reach out to us and we'll be able to take their case and advise them the best course of action.
Perfect. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. We have a ton of information about this on our website, justiceslovely.com, as well as our YouTube. We've got information on mass torts, how that works. Justin had a whole bunch of shorter clips on YouTube where you can get more information as well. We're everywhere that you consume your media. So we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us or give us a call. Thanks so much for watching the Carolina Justice Report. We'll see you next time.
When life gets ugly, justice is lovely.